It's Ken Kreitzer for Sons of American Legion Radio at West Point today. It's game day. We have a chance to talk to one of our legends, our mentors in broadcasting, John Minko at WFAN and the Army broadcast team. John, good to see you. Another big game day today.
It's always a special day at West Point, and great to be here.
Absolutely. Now, you go back a long way with Army football, different capacities. Tell us a little bit about how you got started, some of the earlier highlights, when you were in your earlier days broadcasting Army football.
Well, let's see. This is my 18th year total. 8th year doing the Army Tailgate program. Did the play-by-play for 10 years, and replacing Bob Outer. And Bob, in my mind, will always be the voice of the Black Knights. And back in the year 2000 was Todd Berry's first year. Bob remained in the booth as the program host, which was tremendous. And that's where I started in year 2000, doing Army play-by-play.
And you also have worked a number of years with Dean Darling, who is a good friend of ours, also covers Marist basketball. I'm sure you've had a lot of highlights covering Army football. What were some of the best days?
Well, obviously the Army-Navy games are great. The Army-Air Force games are great. Putting those aside, the greatest game or the most satisfying game I ever did was Army in Cincinnati here at Michie Stadium, snapping the 19-game losing streak under Coach Bobby Ross, and that was a great game. The Air Force game, obviously the one that they won back in 2006 out in Colorado Springs, and that was some plane ride coming home. And, in the Army-Navy games, I did the one in 2001 prior to this past year, the last time they had one, and that closed out Veterans Stadium, old Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia.
That's right. I got to a couple Army-Navy games there back in the 90s. Now, tell us a little bit, how did you get into broadcasting?
Well, it's probably a long story, but, simple. Back in 1962, the Giants were playing the Green Bay Packers in the NFL championship game, and believe it or not, the game is blacked out in New York City. I mean, I go back way there, and I'm sitting there as a kid listening to Marty Glickman do it on the radio, and I sat there listening to the entire game because I actually wanted to go, but, being age and everything, I couldn't go. And I said, I think I want to do what he does. And that's actually when it started back when I was a kid.
You remind me of Marty Glickman, because I remember those days very well, too, sticking to an AM radio, listening to Marty Glickman. What I always liked was when he said, the quarterback brings his ball club up to the line of scrimmage, and Marty Glickman had so many ways of painting the picture of a football game or any game that he did.
Yeah, the team comes up to the line of scrimmage, Wyatt Tittle up over center, and the other thing he would say, he takes the snap back. He would make sure that he told you when the ball was snapped to the quarterback, and he would say Tittle takes the snap back, drops back to throw, and fires the ball to Gifford down the right flank.
You remember those days so well when radio really was king in New York on football. Now you work, we hear you every day on WFAN during the week doing the updates, and I think the team is about to come down the pike, so just tell us a little bit about working with Mike Francesa.
Well, I've been at FAN for 30 years. I'm one of the originals, only one of three air people that are originals, myself, Steve Summers, and Ed Coleman. And, hey, Mike is a pioneer. Mike is the greatest sports talk host, in my mind, that's ever lived. And, I know no one is irreplaceable, but Mike comes close.
Oh, I always enjoy listening to him every afternoon on WFAN. John Minko, great to see you. We're going to have a great game day here at Michie Stadium today.
It's a Saturday at West Point. Couldn't be any better.
Thank you so much. Good to see you, John Minko, WFAN, and the Army broadcast team. This is Ken Kreitzer for Sons of American Legion Radio at West Point.